My husband is as mild as a chrysanthemum, disdaining to engage in conflict with others to protect him. I forced myself to become a shrew. When his opportunity to study abroad was snatched away, I argued with the university administration to get it back. He said I had embarrassed the dignity of an educated person. He never asks for the return of things he lends out when I go to get them back. He accuses me of being petty and calculative. He got the good reputation, while I was cast as the shrew. I always believed he understood me, and we had spent 60 years together. Just 1 month after my death, he married his first love at the wedding. My husband was all tenderness and affection. A single moment with a kindred spirit feels like an eternity, while every moment with someone you don't love is pure torment. My son sighed in agreement. If only Mom weren't here, then Dad could have a happy marriage, and I could have a gentle mother. When I opened my eyes again, I had gone back to the day I fought to secure that overseas opportunity for my husband. This time, I won't be the one to make a scene. Let's see how long he can keep playing the humble, unassuming saint. Sis, you can't really say I stole Laobai's spot for the overseas program. When the leadership asked him, he said himself he didn't care about going abroad for the exchange and would leave it entirely up to the leadership's decision. Exactly. I naturally have to give the opportunity to the comrade who actively pursues it. He approached me several times to lobby for it. Since Laobai never said anything, I assumed he didn't want it. When I opened my eyes, I saw the school leadership and my colleagues performing a well-rehearsed duet, justifying how they had snatched the overseas opportunity meant for my husband. Yet the very person whose spot was taken, my husband, by Anlin, was tugging at my sleeve with an impatient look. Hurry up and go home. We're educated people. How can we make such a scene? It's utterly undignified. Watching this unfold, it hit me with perfect clarity. I had been reborn, and I had returned to the exact moment I was making a scene in front of the school administrators, trying to reclaim the overseas study opportunity that had been snatched from by Anlin. My husband, Bolin, has always been as serene as a chrysanthemum, never one to fight or compete for anything. When the school handed out holiday gifts, he was always the last to pick, bringing home only the dented and unwanted ones. If a neighbor wanted to borrow something from our house, he would lend it out generously but never ask for it back. Every time I asked about it, he would just wave it off. Oh, come on, why make such a fuss over such trivial things? But those little things add up. They may not seem expensive individually, but buying them 10 times a month amounts to a significant sum. My husband is a professor, but he's too principled to seek extra income, so we only have his fixed salary. We have a child to raise, and the family budget is already stretched thin. How can we afford such wastefulness? So, I'm left to pinch pennies after my husband's generosity at work. My husband is also not one to fight or push for things, even though his teaching quality, number of published papers, and research achievements are top-notch. He never seems to get a break when good opportunities come around. He often says, I'm a researcher. How can I afford to worry about such worldly possessions? I'm at a loss. With such an unambitious, otherworldly husband, if he keeps living like this, we'll lose everything. Yet, I also believe that only by ignoring mundane affairs can he focus on his research. So, to protect his childlike innocence, I had no choice but to stand up and be strong myself. I transformed from gentle and refined to sharp-tongued, from generous to nitpicky, all to fight for the rights and benefits my husband and our family deserved. This was the only way I could keep our family going. When I found out my husband's opportunity to study abroad had been snatched away, I simply couldn't let it slide. Filled with rage, I stormed straight to the school to confront the administration. After a big scene, I successfully got my husband's spot back, but I also became infamous at university. The very picture of a shrew. People felt immense pity for my husband, lamenting how someone as gentle and unassuming as Professor Bai ended up married to a termagant like me. What a hardship for him. Bai Anlin sighed to the crowd. Well, I've already married her. What else can I do? I could never bring myself to get a divorce. I used to think my marriage was a happy one. My husband was a professor admired by all, and my son was very accomplished, following in his father's footsteps to become a university professor as well. Despite the ups and downs, my husband and I managed to spend 60 years together, until I passed away peacefully at the age of 82. After death, my soul did not depart but lingered in this world. I thought the heavens knew I couldn't let go of my husband and children, allowing me to keep watching over them. Yet, to my surprise, just 1 month after my passing, Bo Anlin married his first love, Xingyun too. There I was, floating through the wedding reception, watching as Bo Anlin, usually so reserved, let his wrinkled face blossom into a smile as bright as a chrysanthemum. The wedding hall erupted in thunderous applause, the atmosphere electric with joy. Bo Anlin took the Microphone, his expression brimming with profound tenderness. I am grateful to heaven for allowing me, at this age, to marry the girl I first loved, though our time may be short. To spend these final years with a true soulmate is a blessing. After all, a single moment with a kindred spirit is an eternity, while every moment with someone you don't love is torment. He also composed a poem, a century of heartfelt longing. The red candle inscribes first love anew, 6 decades spent apart like swallows. Letters cannot convey this song of yearning. The large screen then displayed photos from their youth and their 60 years of uninterrupted correspondence. The man was dashing and handsome, his eyes smiling, while the woman was delicate, graceful, and gentle. The handwriting in their letters was elegant and the prose was exquisite. With every single stroke brimming with longing, the audience erupted in thunderous applause, showering them with praise. A gentleman like Professor by truly deserves such a gentle and graceful woman. If only they could have been together from the start, without his first wife. Imagine how happy their lives would have been. I heard his ex-wife was an ill-tempered woman with no education. What a waste of Professor Bai's best years. In the photo, Bo Anlin's eyes are smiling, tender and affectionate, nothing like the cold impatience he showed when taking pictures with me, and the letters, never interrupted for 60 years, are a testament to their undying love. Seeing all this, even as a ghost, I couldn't help but want to cry. So, all along, the person lying next to me was thinking of another woman. The happy marriage I thought I had was just a joke. Then, my son Bai Hao, who was already in his 50s, stepped forward. A flicker of hope arose in my heart, hoping he would speak up for me. After all, I had nearly given my life to bring him into this world and had poured endless effort into raising him. Yet, to my disappointment, he offered his congratulations to Bai Anlin and Xing Yun. Dad, Auntie Xing, congratulations on finally tying the knot. He even gave Xing Yun a hug. Auntie Xing, you have no idea how much I've always wanted a gentle and gracious mother like you. He didn't say it outright, but it was clear to everyone that Bo Hao was implying his own birth mother, me, was too brash and ill-mannered. Bai Hao was bright but also mischievous and playful. As his mother, I naturally kept a strict rein on him. I accompanied him to and from school, supervised his homework, and enrolled him in numerous extracurricular classes. Under my tiger mom style of discipline, he managed to get into the best university and, like his father, became a professor. I thought that now, as a grown man, he would understand the good intentions behind my strictness, yet, to this day, he still resents and blames me. I've been such a fool for nothing. And then I watched Xing Yun move into the home I had tended to for 60 years. She and Bai Anlin composed poetry together, tended to flowers and plants, like an idyllic, fairy tale couple. My son treats her even better than he treats me, his own mother. He even sighs with admiration. If only Mom weren't here, Dad could have a happy marriage, and I could have a gentle mother. A wrong marriage only brings misfortune to everyone, so all my lifelong devotion to them, in their eyes, was nothing but a mistake and a source of misfortune. How absurd. How utterly absurd. 3. Perhaps the heavens sensed my profound resentment, for I was reborn, though I didn't return to the very beginning, to prevent it all from happening. But now, I've only been married to Bai Anlin for 15 years, and I've been reborn in the vibrant, upwardly mobile 1980s. I believe there's still time to change everything. I quickly composed myself and deftly avoided Bo Anlin's attempt to pull me aside. Then, shifting from my previous aggressive demeanor, I turned to the school administrator with a smile. Did Anlin really tell you he doesn't care about such superficial things? Yet he came back quite upset. I thought he really wanted this opportunity, which is why I'm here. It seems I was mistaken. You did the right thing. Opportunities should go to those who actively pursue them themselves. Everyone on this scene was taken aback, clearly not expecting such a change from me. The school administrators, being the most experienced, were the first to regain their composure. I never expected my sister-in-law to be so understanding. This is truly wonderful. Old Bai always said you were difficult, but it just goes to show you have to get to know someone to understand them. And who would have thought that Lao Bai, so quiet and unassuming at school, never competing for anything, would come home and complain to you, trying to get you to fight his battles for him. As he spoke, he turned to look at his husband, patted him on the shoulder with a meaningful look in his eyes. Lao Bai, in the future, if you want something, just say it outright. You put on this air of aloofness every day, so of course we assumed you didn't want anything and naturally wouldn't arrange it for you. Don't worry, there will be plenty more opportunities for overseas study. If it doesn't work out this time, I'll definitely prioritize you for the next one. Bai Anlin also snapped out of it. She opened her mouth to explain, but in the end, no words came out, leaving her with only an awkward smile. Then, the leader said a few more words before leaving. With the others just before leaving, he said to me with a smile, "Don't worry, sister-in-law, you're so supportive of the school's work. I'll make sure to sing your praises for being such a capable and understanding wife." With that, he left with the others. Still smiling, I was left alone with Bai Annan. Bai Annan's expression was grim. "Shame, how could you say that? How could you repeat what we said at home?" I sneered inwardly. How could I not know exactly what Bai Annan was thinking? He actually cares about everything, but he doesn't want to tarnish his own reputation of being aloof and detached, so he played the victim in front of me, goading me into fighting his battles for him, and turning me into the so-called shrew. And then he had the nerve to turn around and call me vulgar, saying I was utterly detestable. My actions today not only cost him what he wanted, but also peeled back a layer of his facade in front of the leadership. No wonder he's furious. I'm actually quite adept at dealing with people who put on a false air of superiority, but in the past, I loved him, felt for him, couldn't see him clearly, and had no desire to deal with him. But now, well, I looked at him with a smile. "Didn't you just tell me to stop making a scene and go home? And now I'm wrong for actually listening to you. Besides, you're the one who's always going on about how we're upright and have nothing to hide, that we can say anything to anyone. So, is what you said something you can't tell people? You never said it." Bai Annan was left speechless, completely stumped for a response. He flicked his sleeve in anger and stormed off home. For our current home is an old public housing apartment allocated to Bai Annan by the university. The layout, with 2 bedrooms and a study, isn't large, but I've made it feel quite cozy. After returning home, Bai Annan shut himself in the study. Whenever we had a disagreement and he was upset, he would retreat to his study, and we were always fighting. A major blowout one day, a minor squabble the next. Come to think of it, he spent most of his time at home holed up in that study. In the past, it was always me who had to back down before he would reluctantly emerge. But now, I stared at the closed door with a cold sneer in my heart. "It would be best if you just stayed in there and kept out of sight." Just then, the front door opened again. It was my son, Bai Hao, returning from school. Bai Hao is 14 now, just starting the 8th grade. Of course I love him. What mother wouldn't love her own child? But after my death, his actions truly left me heartbroken. However, he hasn't done anything wrong yet. If he can be set straight, I'll continue to be a good mother to him. But soon enough, Boheo's actions disappointed me. He saw the closed study door and frowned. "Mom, why did you upset Dad again? He's not like you, obsessed with trivial worldly matters. Don't pick a fight with him over your petty issues." My heart sank. So, Bai Hao had been siding with Bai Annan this early on, even though Bai Annan was nothing but an absentee father to him. While I had given up my own career to be by his side all along, I couldn't let it go and pressed on. How, aren't you even going to ask why we were arguing, to figure out who was right and who was wrong?" Bai Hao just rolled his eyes. "Why even ask? Dad's not the type to nitpick. If it weren't for you constantly stirring up trouble, would our family have this much drama? Mom, can you try to be a little gentler? It's no wonder Dad prefers a gentle woman over someone like you." So that's what Boheo really thought. And what did he mean by that last remark? A cold feeling spread through me as I stared him down. "And how exactly do you know what your father likes? Where did you get the idea he prefers gentle women over me?" A flicker of guilt crossed Boheo's face, but he forced a calm front. "Just a guess," he said. "Who'd like someone as fierce as you? Of course he does." With that, he turned and hurried into his bedroom. "I've got homework to do. Call me when dinner's ready." I'm his mother. How could I not see he was flustered? In the past, my son would always play for a while first and only start his homework after my repeated urging. When has he ever been this proactive? At this moment, it became crystal clear to me that my son had known all along about Bai Annan and his first love, yet he never warned me, and had even been hoping for Xingyun to become his mother instead. My heart ached. Yet I also felt a wave of relief. Perfect, with the last thing I cared about gone, I can finally act without hesitation. They expect me to cook for those 2 spoiled brats who have everything handed to them. Screw that. So I packed a change of clothes and left home. 5. I wasn't running away from home. I was going to see my best friend Zhou Yan to prepare for my divorce. Zhou Yan had gone into business selling clothes, a career path Bai Annan looked down on, but in reality, Zhou Yan was earning tens of thousands a year back then, while Bai Annan was supporting a whole family on a monthly salary of just a few dozen yuan. After we married, he repeatedly tried to stop me from seeing Zhou Yan. Between that and the busyness of home life, our friendship gradually faded. Last year, Zhou Yan asked for my help. I was tempted, but I refused because of Bai Annan's opposition. I was worried Zhou Yan would give me the cold shoulder, but now, I can't find anyone more suitable yet. When I stated my purpose and mentioned my intention to divorce, she warmly embraced me and even clapped her hands. Finally, you've come to your senses. It's obvious that man of yours doesn't love you. I've been wanting to tell you to stop being his doormat. How can I help? I was deeply moved. I need you to help me find a good divorce lawyer, lend me a camera, and put me in touch with a newspaper reporter. And, are you still willing to hire me to work for you? Zhou Yan agreed without hesitation. Of course, I hugged her back, showing the first genuine smile since my rebirth. It's a relief. I haven't completely failed. I still have my best friend to rely on. 6. It was only after 3 days, and at Zhou Yan's enthusiastic urging, that I finally went home. The house was in complete disarray. My father and son were out, one at work, the other at school. I had deliberately chosen this time when they were both away. I went into Bai Annan's study. Bai Annan had always said that even between husband and wife, privacy must be respected, so, aside from cleaning, his study had always been off limits to me. I gave him all the respect he could ask for, and in return, he secretly corresponded with his first love behind my back for 60 years. But now it's convenient. I've got the evidence of Bai Annan's infidelity. It took me less than a minute to find the letters, as they were just sitting in his desk drawer, not even locked. I couldn't help but laugh. Bai Annan must have been counting on my love for him to act so brazenly, even though I had already seen it once at the wedding. Looking at it again now still makes me sick. I quickly snapped a photo of the letter with my camera, then held onto it, waiting for the two Bai men, father and son, to return at 7 p.m. Both of them came home one right after the other. When Bai Annan saw me, his face immediately hardened. So you finally decided to come home. Is this how a mother and wife should act? Who knows where you've been running off to? Bohao's tone was equally harsh. Mom, how could you just leave without a word? We were starving for ages that day. Oh, whatever. Just go make dinner first. I want sweet and sour pork ribs. Every word was filled with reproach. Without a shred of concern for me, I couldn't be bothered to argue. I just threw the letters down. That's right, I'm not worthy. But as someone who's been married for over a decade and still texts their first love every day, worthy of being a father or a husband, Bai Annan's face instantly changed. Xiaomei, have you lost your mind? Don't you know what privacy is? How could you snoop through my letters? With that, he strode forward, trying to snatch the letter from my hand. I sneered and deftly sidestepped his attempt. So much for respect. You've been secretly contacting your first love for over a decade behind my back. Let's just skip the respect. Then, Bai Annan flew into an even greater rage, shedding all pretense of her usual serene and detached demeanor. You're insane, a real shrew. How could I possibly like you when you act like this? My relationship with Yun Yun is nothing more than an occasional exchange of pleasantries. It's proper and restrained. Do you really have to latch onto it and make a scene? Society is more open now, and plenty of people get divorced. The only reason I put up with you is out of a sense of responsibility. Do you really think I don't have the guts to divorce you? Their son chimed in from the side. Mom, stop making a fuss and apologize to Dad already. Dad and Aunt Xing live so far apart, they just write to each other once in a while. Why are you being so nitpicky? The more you act like this, the more Dad will dislike you. You're living off my dad right now. If you really get a divorce, where are you going to live? If you divorce him, I'm not going to suffer with you. Bai Annan immediately puffed up with pride. Xiaomei, I'm the one providing for you. Don't be ungrateful for the good life you have. If we divorce, you'll be the one who suffers. Looking at the father and son united against me, I couldn't suppress the anger rising in my heart. I used to be a textile mill worker. I only quit my job because there was no one to look after my son after he was born. When our son was a bit older, I wanted to go back to work, but Bai Annan kept putting me down, saying I'd been out of the workforce for years and was completely out of touch, that I'd never find a job. After that relentless discouragement, I lost all heart for job hunting, and the son I took care of felt no gratitude whatsoever. In his eyes, Bai Annan was the breadwinner, and I was just a jobless good-for-nothing. Suddenly, it all felt so pointless. I looked at them, my expression calm, but my tone deadly serious. In that case, let's get a divorce. Bai Annan's expression froze, his eyes widening in disbelief. After a long pause, he sneered, "You're the one who wants the divorce. Don't you dare regret it." I gave a cold laugh. Whoever regrets it is a bastard. We'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau for the divorce certificate tomorrow. You. Seeing my resolute attitude, Bai Annan was so furious the veins on his forehead bulged. This is outrageous, outrageous. You must be cheating on me. I immediately slapped him across the face. Bai Annan, you need proof to slander someone. I'm the one with the evidence of your affair. What do you think will happen to Professor Bai's reputation if I show these letters of yours to everyone in the compound? Bai Annan's hand, which had been poised to strike back, froze in midair although he had just claimed his relationship with Xingyun was purely platonic. He knew better than anyone what those letters truly signified. You, what are you trying to do? What do I have to do for you to give me back the letter? I waved the letter in my hand. I'll give you the letter if you hand over all the family savings to me. Then, I turned my gaze towards Bo Hao, who was standing nearby. He visibly tensed up and quickly said, I'm not going with you. You can forget about that idea. That was exactly the line I was waiting for. I immediately laughed and said, you heard it yourself. Our son wants to stay with you. So be it. I won't fight you for custody. As for the apartment, it was allocated to Bai Annan by the university as public housing. I can't take it, and I don't want it anyway. Bai Annan's face flushed red. You want to take all the savings? Xiaomei, you're being utterly shameless. I earned every penny of that money myself. Instead of getting angry, I laughed. So the famously aloof and unworldly Professor Bai cares about money after all. I thought only petty people like me worried about such things. Hand over the money, and you'll get your letters back. If not, get ready for your little affair to be the talk of the entire campus and faculty housing. With that, I wheeled my suitcase out the door, leaving behind the home I'd lived in for 15 years. 7 In the end, Bai Annan agreed to give me all of his savings. After all, Bai Annan has a fixed monthly salary and doesn't lack for daily expenses. The savings were only about $1,000, which I had painstakingly scrimped and saved for over the years. Most importantly, Bai Annan didn't want to ruin his reputation over a few $100. As for me, I wanted to get my savings back. Firstly, I wasn't about to let those two bastards get away with it, and secondly, I needed it as seed money to start my new life. Outside the Civil Affairs Bureau, both father and son glared at me with pure hatred. Xiaomei, I hope you won't regret the decision you made today. Mom, I really don't understand why you have to be like this. You've torn our perfectly good family apart. I just watched the two of them calmly. Don't worry, from now on, you go your way, and I'll go mine. I won't bother you again. Then I turned and walked away, a cold smile forming on my face. Does Bai Annan think he can just walk away scot-free? In his dreams after the divorce, many people asked why we split up, as getting divorced was still quite rare. In those days, most of the time, I would just smile and say nothing. Bai Annan, however, played the victim, his words dripping with insinuation. Sigh, you all know how fierce she is. Our marriage was never harmonious to begin with. In the past, for the sake of the child, and because I didn't want to be the one who breaks faith and forgets duty, I kept the marriage going. Who would have thought that after spending just half a day with that friend of hers who went into business, she came back and asked for a divorce? What a disgrace to the family. Zhou Yan was furious when she heard and wanted to go tear into Bai Annan, but I held her back. After all, those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make mad. A month later, Bai Annan and Xingyun, who was also divorced, remarried. I wasn't particularly surprised when I got the news, whether it was the 80-year-old Bai Annan or the 40-year-old one. He was equally impatient. Their wedding was far less extravagant than it had been in their previous life. First, there were the constraints of the times, and second, he had given all his savings to me. It said the wedding expenses were borrowed, with an agreement to repay the money as soon as the cash gifts were collected. The newlyweds were greeting guests at the entrance, with two teenage boys standing behind them. One was Bai Hao, and the other was presumably Xingyun's son. Bai Annan was elated, brimming with the same high spirits and confidence he had in his past life. Seeing me arrive, he gave me a rare smile and spoke with feigned magnanimity. I didn't think you'd actually come. I've started a new chapter in my life now, so I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. We can still be friends, you know, and you're welcome to visit our son anytime you want. Bai Hao, however, wore an expression of utter impatience. Who needs her to visit me? I have Auntie Xing now. Auntie Xing is so gentle. Who would want that shrew anyway? I must have heard it so often that I'd grown used to it. I felt surprisingly calm, and without another glance at Bo Hao, I walked into the wedding hall. It's fine, I'll just wait and see if this gentle stepmother will care for him with the same wholehearted devotion I once did. Soon, the wedding ceremony officially began, and the newlyweds took the stage. Bo Annan professed his deep affection for Xingyun just as he had in his previous life. Yun Yun and I broke up due to a twist of fate back then, but even after 16 years, I never forgot her. Thankfully, fate intervened, we both got divorced, and now we can be together again. Being with someone who shares your interests and passions is truly the most wonderful thing in the world. This time, however, his heartfelt declaration didn't have the same impact as it did in the past life. Because I was still alive, sitting right there in the audience. As soon as he finished speaking, all eyes turned to me. My expression remained calm, but inside, I was thrilled. What could be more satisfying than a scumbag admitting to an emotional affair himself? But that wasn't enough. I had to pour fuel on the fire. I stood up and pulled a stack of photocopies from my bag. Perfect timing. I, too, was deeply moved to learn that Bayanan has cherished his first love for 16 years. I can provide everyone with more evidence of their affection. With that, I scattered the photocopies in my hand towards the crowd. Most people in this world love gossip. Seeing this, they swarmed forward, scrambling to grab the photocopies. As you can all see, throughout the 16 years of my marriage to Bayanan, he wrote to Xingyun at least twice a month. Their letters were filled with tender confessions and deep affection. He also provided her with financial support on multiple occasions and even used business trips as an excuse to visit her many times. After learning of their feelings for each other, I was so moved that I divorced him to let them be together. Furthermore, my son prefers a gentle stepmother like Xingyun. Even though he knew his father had been in touch with his first love all along, he kept it from me as well. Naturally, I respected his wishes and let him stay with his father. I delivered this whole speech with a tone of magnanimous sarcasm. Since I didn't make a scene at the school, my reputation has improved quite a bit. With the leadership's praise, there are even rumors now that I'm a reasonable person nowadays. I'm the spitting image of a pitiful ex-wife who's been cheated on. Upon hearing this, everyone began to murmur and discuss among themselves, so it wasn't just a thought, but ongoing contact, and raising someone else's son. They probably slept together too. What a useless son, covering up for his father's affair and even liking the stepmother. Professor Bai is always preaching about morality, but who knew he was this kind of person? He's completely clueless about how wrong he is. Even bringing it up at a wedding as proof of his devotion. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. I heard he's been bad-mouthing his ex-wife everywhere, hinting she was the one who cheated. How shameless can you get? Bayanan's expression grew increasingly ugly, a picture of sheer frustration and rage. Xiaomei, how could you go back on your word? You promised you'd hand over the letter if I agreed to give you the savings. However, before he could finish his sentence, Xingyun tugged at his sleeve to stop him. A look of regret flashed across Bayanan's face. It was clear he had just realized he'd confessed without being pressed. Admitting the letter on the photocopy was genuine. I gave him a faint smile. I only promised to return the letter to you. I never said I didn't take a picture of it, that I don't have a copy, or that I wouldn't tell everyone. You. Bayanan pointed at me, wanting to say more, but was held back by Xingyun, who was standing beside him. Then, Xingyun simply fainted on the spot. Saving her was the priority, so everyone rushed Xingyun to the hospital. My eyesight has always been good, and I could see her eyeballs moving rapidly beneath her eyelids. It seems she was faking it to make her escape. Not a bad plan. Actually, Xingyun's cunning completely outmatched both father and son of the Bai family. Looks like we're in for quite a show. 9. I even made a point of bringing a newspaper reporter to the wedding. The wedding was indeed a spectacle, and with the main players being prestigious university professors, the whole farce made the papers the very next day. Bayanan's reputation was instantly ruined. The university, in particular, was just the right size for gossip to spread. Soon, the entire campus knew that Professor Bayanan from the School of Biology, after 16 years of marriage and a prolonged emotional affair, had finally left his wife for his first love. People in those days were still quite principled and viewed such behavior with utter contempt. Many students directly confronted Bayanan in his own classroom, and some parents even filed complaints, fearing he would be a bad influence on their children. To quell the public outrage, Bayanan was transferred to a sinecure, stripped of his teaching duties, and his research projects were reassigned to others. Filled with indignation, Bayanan could no longer maintain his facade of detached serenity and went to confront the school administration. Even if my personal conduct was somewhat improper, what gives you the right to tamper with my career? I have been nothing but diligent and dedicated throughout my more than 10 years at this school. The school administrators were already displeased with him, and seeing him act so self-righteous only made them angrier. How can you even say that? Who gets a divorce and makes a public spectacle in the newspapers like you did? It's affecting our school's enrollment. The only reason we're keeping you on in an administrative role is because your work is somewhat diligent. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. Let's see which university would be willing to take you. Scolded like that by his superior, Bayanan had no choice but to slink away in disgrace. It is said that, boasting of his abundant research achievements and unwilling to stay at University A doing menial work, he sent his resume to several other universities. However, everyone was well aware of his illustrious deeds, And no other university would take him. He had no choice but to slink back and stay at University A, taking an administrative role. Many who attended his wedding were disgusted by his behavior and demanded he return their monetary gifts, but Annan was counting on that money to pay for the wedding banquet itself. How could he possibly agree? And so, Professor Bai, who had always claimed to treat money like dirt, ended up in a very public spat with his colleagues over the wedding cash. Most people knew that getting the wedding gift money back was a long shot, but seeing the usually serene Professor Bai lose his composure over money like that left everyone utterly stunned. Annan's relationship with his colleagues grew increasingly hostile. When Zhou Yan told me about Annan's recent situation, she burst out laughing. Brilliant. I was worried you were going to let him off the hook. You really know how to handle things. I finally get to see that cheating scumbag get what he deserves. I took a sip of tea and smiled faintly. This is nowhere near enough. The days that followed were relatively calm, until 3 months later, when Bai Hao suddenly came looking for me at the garment factory. Bai Hao was wearing clothes that hadn't been washed in days, clothes I had bought for him last year. He had lost a lot of weight, and his hair was a mess. It was clear no one had taken him for a haircut in a long time. Mom, I haven't eaten meat in almost a month. Dad only trusts my stepmom and her kid now. He doesn't care about me at all. Can you please talk some sense into him? Bo Hao then gave a detailed account of what had happened during this period. After getting married, Annan handed over his entire salary to Xingyun, keeping nothing for himself, and let her take full control of the household finances. At first, he was quite happy because Xingyun said children should grow up freely and basically left him to his own devices. He could play as long as he wanted and skip cram school whenever he felt like it, but then he realized something was off. The very next day, Xingyun took Xingyi there. When he asked, Xingyun simply said the money was already paid, so it would be a waste not to go. It was one thing to give up things he didn't care about, like tutoring classes, but gradually, he was even asked by Xingyun to give up his toys and the meat on the dinner table to Xingyi, all because his younger brother was in poor health. Whenever he was reluctant, Xingyun would start sniveling in front of Bai Annan. Bai Annan would then frown and say, How, as the older brother, you should be kind to your younger brother. Don't be as petty and calculating as your mother. Bai Annan mostly ate at the school cafeteria, but he too was subjected to Xingyun's favoritism. Xingyun wouldn't even let him buy a new set of clothes, and as for those so-called refined hobbies of his, they were completely cut off over the weekend. While he was at home, he saw that most of the meat on the plate went into Xingyi's stomach. His own son only managed to pick up a piece or two, and as for himself, he didn't get a single bite. Bai Annan frowned and said, Can't you just buy more? Not only is it not enough for the 2 kids, but we adults don't get a bite either. Xingyun instead turned the tables, tearfully accusing him, with the meager salary you earn now, how can we possibly afford to buy all that meat and fruit, or send both kids to extracurricular classes? I'd love to, but can't you just go out and make more money? Annan, having had his sore spot jabbed, immediately fell silent. Consequently, Hao's former life of privilege was gone. For the past month, he could barely get a few bites of meat and was often left hungry. I'm not surprised by their family's predicament. Xingyun's complaints are not unfounded. Bai Annan's salary was never high to begin with, and being a man of principle, he had no other sources of income. That's why I had to pinch pennies back then, just to keep the family afloat and spare Bai Annan from worrying about money. But now, with the impractical and romantic Xingyun in charge, and 2 children in their teens to raise, it's no wonder they're struggling to make ends meet. I watched my son sobbing his heart out, yet my own heart remained strangely calm. Does he truly understand his mistake now? Does he finally see the good intentions behind my past actions? I'm afraid the truth is simpler. He's just been wronged out there and has come to me for help. He hasn't even asked to stay with me, but he is my son. After all, I can't just turn my back on him completely. I took him back to my current dormitory at the garment factory. It was a single room, but very basic, just a bed, a desk, and some toiletries. I'm divorced from your father now, so I can't get involved in your family's affairs. If you're willing, you can come live with me. I'll help you apply for a dorm room. Bai Hao surveyed the surroundings, frowned, and then shook his head quickly. No, I'd better go back and talk to Dad. He's just been blinded by my stepmother. For the moment, then he dashed away. I watched his retreating figure and sighed. Look, there's no mother-son bond in my son's heart. He only cares about profit. 2 more months passed, and the Bai family's life had miraculously improved. When Zhou Yan and I were making a delivery to the upscale department store, we were shocked to see the whole family of 4, dressed to the nines, shopping at luxury boutiques. I was taken aback. With Bai Annan's salary, he couldn't afford to shop at this high-end department store even if he worked another 100 years. Bai Annan spotted me from a distance, a triumphant smile on his face. His expression grew even more smug, especially when he saw me dressed plainly, sweating profusely as I moved heavy cargo. Xiaomei, we were husband and wife once. If you're in trouble, just tell me, I can lend you money. There's no need for you to do this kind of backbreaking labor. Dressed like a society lady and clinging to Bai Annan's arm, Xingyun said. Graciously, Sister Mimi, I owe this wonderful life of mine to you. Stepping aside, if you ever have any difficulties, you must let us know. I turned to look at Bai Hao beside me. He was pretending not to see me as he browsed the toys displayed on the counter. Where was the disheveled mess from when he came to see me before? Sure enough, he only acknowledges me as his mother when he finds me useful. When he doesn't need me, he wishes I would just vanish into thin air. I found this family's attitude rather amusing, and a mischievous urge to tease them stirred within me. Is that so? Well, I do have a pressing need to invest in a new factory, and I'm short about 100,000. Since you're all so generous, I wonder if you could lend it to me. Hearing me name the sum of 100,000, Bai Annan's face instantly flushed crimson with anger. Xiaomei, after all this time, you're still as ungrateful as ever. Then, turning to the three people beside him, he said, let's go. Some people aren't worth our pity. The family of four left together, and as they turned the corner, Xingyun shot me a smug look. As for Boheo, probably out of guilt, he didn't look at me the entire time. After watching them leave, I gave Zhou Yan a pat on the back. Is there a way to look into that family? Something's definitely off. 12. The investigation results came back just 3 days later. Bai Annan was actually endorsing counterfeit drugs. I was a bit surprised. After all, Bai Annan had always prided himself on being as serene as a chrysanthemum, a man of noble character and integrity. When applying for research funding in the past, he always stuck to the bare minimum, so few graduate students were willing to work on his projects. However, seeing that Xingyun was the one who made the connection, it no longer came as a surprise. When it came to Xingyun, Bai Annan abandoned all his principles, but besides that, it was probably because they were strapped for cash and had to find a way to make more money. So the resourceful Xingyun got in touch with a counterfeit drug company. Although Bai Annan had been transferred to an administrative post, he still held the title of a biomedical professor at a university, which was more than enough to fool elderly folks in their 70s and 80s. At first, Bai Annan was reluctant, thinking to himself how he could tell lies just for money. However, after receiving a hefty red envelope of 1,000 yuan from the counterfeit drug company and being assured that the pills were merely vitamins and would cause no harm, he completely set his mind at ease. Afterwards, Bai Annan endorsed the counterfeit drug company over a dozen more times and even appeared in advertisements, earning himself 30 to 40,000 yuan. 30 to 40,000 was a fortune in those days. No wonder that family was so arrogant. Reading the transcript of Bai Annan's promotional speech, I couldn't help but furrow my brow deeply. How could he claim it cures all diseases and reverses aging, swindling those elderly folks out of their life savings? Bai Annan's moral compass is even more broken than I ever imagined. I must have been out of my mind to ever buy into his act of being humble and unassuming. Whether it was for personal vendetta or for the sake of justice, I immediately went to the police station to report the counterfeit drug company. This was a time when public security and fraud were being strictly cracked down on. The police took my report very seriously and, on the third day, raided the company's promotional event. Apprehending the relevant personnel on the spot, Bai Annan was among them. When he was caught, knowing he couldn't escape, he panicked and covered his head and face with his hands. Even during the subsequent interrogation, he refused to disclose his identity. However, this secret couldn't be kept for long. The police simply asked a few members of the audience from his lecture and discovered he was a biology professor from a university. Their looks of contempt for him grew even stronger. How could someone with such high academic credentials, a role model as an educator, stoop to colluding with a fraudulent pharmaceutical company for money? Subsequently, they informed the university, which promptly decided to expel him. In the end, Bai Annan was convicted of fraud and sent to prison. However, as he was not the principal offender, he received only a 4-year sentence. For a man who prized his reputation above all else, the blow was utterly devastating. In the courtroom, he appeared unshaven and dejected, his head hung low. Gone was the aloof, proud, and seemingly detached demeanor he once carried. As for me, for successfully exposing the counterfeit drug company that had swindled countless ordinary people out of their hard-earned money, I was awarded the title of model citizen. On the day Bai Annan was sent to prison, Bai Hao came to me and knelt before me. Mom, please save me, let me stay with you. Okay, I know I was wrong, I really do, Mom, you can't just abandon me. Looking at my son before me, I could no longer tell if his remorse was genuine or if he was just clinging to whoever could provide for him. I let out a sigh. You're 15 now. I'll arrange for you to board at school. I'll provide you with a monthly living allowance at the average rate, and I'll support you until you come of age. If you manage to get into university, I'll pay for your studies too. After all that's happened, it's time you learn to grow up. By how opened his mouth as if to say something, but in the end, he remained silent. Finally, he kowtowed to me and said in a low voice, I understand. 13 News of Bai Annan reached me again half a year after his release. He was back in prison for accidentally killing someone in a fight, with Bai Annan serving a 7-year sentence. Xingyun naturally didn't wait around. She found another man to support her and her son, but despite her considerable skills, she was getting on in years, and her notorious reputation from past events meant she couldn't land a decent man. In the end, she settled for companionship with a middle-aged migrant worker who'd come to town for labor. Xingyun wanted a divorce from Bai Annan, but Bai Annan refused point blank. After being expelled from school, Bai Annan naturally lost her housing as well. After his release from prison, he went to find Xingyun, only to discover that the pure, untainted first love he held in his heart was now haggling over a penny with a street vendor, just like the most common woman from the market. What's more, she was accompanied by a coarse-mannered middle-aged man, and the two of them were behaving with great familiarity. In that instant, Bai Annan's composure shattered. He charged forward, shouting, You bitch, I went to prison for you, ruined my whole life, and you dare cheat on me. Xingyun never expected Bai Annan to be out of prison, let alone to have found her, but with a strong man by her side, she wasn't afraid of Bai Annan and immediately started shouting back, Ha, it's just that you're useless yourself. The argument grew more heated, and Bai Annan, unable to contain herself, actually resorted to violence. Xingyun quickly cried for help, but she and that middle-aged migrant worker were only living together out of convenience. Seeing this, the middle-aged migrant worker had already vanished without a trace. As luck would have it for Xingyun, there were exposed steel rebars at the spot where they were arguing. After being shoved by Bai Annan, Xingyun fell backward directly onto a rebar. It pierced a vital spot, and he died instantly. Bai Annan was apprehended on the spot. Later, for involuntary manslaughter, he was sent back to prison and sentenced to life. Hearing about Bai Annan's final fate, I simply muttered serves him right before throwing myself back into my work. By then, Zhou Yan and I had expanded our business across the entire country, establishing ourselves as one of the leading forces in China's garment industry. Gazing at the brilliant sunshine outside the office building, I felt an immense sense of ease. It's true, what goes around comes around. In this life, I am destined to live brilliantly. The end. Story 2. Reed Lu's first love crashed into me while drunk driving, leaving me disabled and unable to hold a scalpel again. I refused to settle, and in his anger, he abandoned me on the highway that night. Amid thunder and rain, I limped home on my injured leg, only to find the two of them tightly embracing on the living room sofa. He looked at me, his gaze unapologetic. Mila is afraid of thunder. I didn't make another scene, just carried my plaster-casted hand back to the room. Blood trickled down my calf onto the white carpet, glaringly conspicuous, yet no one cared. But it doesn't matter anymore. I took out my tablet and booked a flight abroad. Yet standing under the shower, I still couldn't hold back my tears. The hot water washed away the chill, yet I still felt so cold. Never before had I imagined that Reed Lu, who once braved snowstorms to pick me up from work late at night, would one day abandon me, still injured, on the highway. After my shower, I dried my tears, calmly took out the cold medicine and swallowed it, then applied ointment to my knees. After long stretches of clear skies, rain always comes unexpectedly, and I learned long ago to run in the rain. It's all the same. Bang, bang, bang. Late at night, knocking sounds came from outside the house. It was most likely Reed Lu. During this period, no matter how intimate he and Milagu were, he would always rush back to sleep before dawn. Even during the half-month I was hospitalized, it was the same. It seemed he believed this could prove their innocence. I'm exhausted and don't feel like dealing with anything, but unable to bear his persistent knocking. I had no choice but to get up and open the door. The moment he stepped in, he angrily shouted at me, Why did you lock the door, and don't you know how to take a taxi? Did you deliberately make yourself look so pathetic just to gain sympathy? As an orphan, I don't know who would sympathize with me even if I acted anyway. The current Reed Lu wouldn't do that anymore. He must have seen the blood on the carpet, suppressing the rising bitterness in my heart. I silently handed him the phone from the bedside table. The phone screen was shattered like a spiderweb. It was thrown by Reed Lu when he forced me out of the car. He pressed the power button stubbornly, but when it still wouldn't turn on, he finally fell silent. I'm sorry, I didn't. No, I cut him off. It's fine, you can leave now. I need to rest, thank you. Hearing this, the man's face darkened again. Sage Sue, must you make such a scene? I've told you I treat Mila Gu like a sister. My head was throbbing painfully, and all I wanted was to sleep, but this person kept bothering me, stirring up my temper. A sister in bed. Reed Lu raised his hand high. We're not as filthy as you think. My eyes instantly reddened. Go ahead and hit me, it's already filthy, we've kissed. And hugged. Isn't that filthy enough? If the two of you are innocent, then Mila Gu should be in jail right now, not in your home. Reed Lu's brows furrowed deeply, and without hesitation, he retorted, with thunder this loud, do you have any idea how terrified Mila Gu must be in a place like that? Why should I care what the woman who ruined my marriage and destroyed my career is afraid of? He added, Mila Gu kissing me was an accident. She was drunk, I've explained this many times. Talking to this person is like playing the lute to a cow. Realizing this, I limped forward and pushed him out, but Reed Lu still wouldn't let me off. His lips moved, each word cutting like a knife. In our circle, who hasn't had their share of incidents? In the end, it's always money that settles things. Mila Gu, a young lady from a wealthy family, willingly spent 8 days in jail just to make you happy. She's lost her reputation. What more do you want? What do I want? I studied medicine for 8 years. Worked for 3. And was about to become the youngest surgical director in the hospital's history. Her 8 days can equal my 11 years. Before I could question this, I blacked out in anger. Staying in the hospital only reminds me of my shattered dreams, so I checked out early yesterday. I never thought I'd be back in the hospital so soon. Beside the pillow lay the latest model of a fruit brand phone. In Mila Gu's favorite pink color. I glanced at the time. It was almost noon from yesterday afternoon until now. I've only taken 2 cold pills and am starving. I unwrapped the packaging of my phone, thinking about ordering takeout. The door suddenly swung open. Reed Lu came in holding a bowl of lean pork and vegetable porridge. Just woke up at the right time. Don't move. I borrowed the hospital kitchen to cook this porridge. It's still hot. Let me feed you. I lowered my eyes and didn't argue with him. Take good care of your injury. I'll keep my distance from Mila Gu in the future so you won't have to worry. After just a few bites, his phone rang. It was the piano piece, Mariage d'Amour, Mila Gu's exclusive ringtone. The call background is also a photo of Mila Gu in a white dress playing the piano. After just 2 notes, he answered the phone, not even having time to put down the porridge. Brother Reed, help, ah. On the phone, Mila Gu's screams were piercing. I was startled, and Reed Lu reacted even more intensely. By the time I regained my composure, the bowl of scalding porridge in his hands had already spilled onto my lap. Have the caregiver clean this up. He spoke so fast that I couldn't make out what he was saying. With that, he walked away without even turning his head. I froze for a moment, then limped to the bathroom to splash cold water on myself. After nearly 10 minutes of splashing, the burning sensation in my chest finally subsided a little. I was drenched all over, but the porridge and vegetables stubbornly clung to my clothes. The wound on my knee split open again, staining my pants red. After a long while, I leaned against the wall and slowly crouched down, hugging myself as I murmured, Sage Sue, you didn't do anything, so why are you in such a sorry state? Covering my face, I shook my head as tears streamed through my fingers over and over. I don't know, and Sage Sue doesn't know either. Sage, why are you in the bathroom? Oh my god, what happened to you? I raised my teary eyes and saw Senior Sister Yuan's deeply concerned gaze, which only made my heart ache even more. I pressed my lips together several times before barely managing to speak coherently. It hurts a bit from the hot porridge, but it's okay. She pulled aside my collar, gasped at the sight below my collarbone. It's all red. I'll get some clothes and burn ointment. She left in a whirlwind. She had barely left when a group of people in nurse uniforms came bustling into the ward, but they weren't real nurses. The leader was Gu Ziyi, Mila Gu's cousin and also the #1 fan of the Mila Gu and Reed Lu pairing. The others following her were her lackeys. During the days Mila Gu was in jail, she rushed to the hospital and screamed at me, only to be thrown out by security in the end. TSK, how pathetic. Did you crawl out of a sewer? You're both smelly and wet. Exactly, only sewer rats steal things. And she deliberately framed Sister Gu to go to jail. What a vicious schemer. They chattered away, maliciously holding up their phones to take pictures. I reached out, snatched Gu Ziyi's phone, and then smashed it fiercely onto the ground. How dare you break my, The ward fell silent for a moment. You bitch, how dare you hit me? I grabbed Gu Ziyi's hand. I'm pregnant. Do you really want to make your sister the mistress who caused the legal wife to miscarry? The pregnancy was a lie, but it clearly worked. Guzi reluctantly withdrew her hand. Her face flushed with anger as she shouted, "The one who isn't loved is the real mistress." After speaking, she pulled out another phone from her bag. She turned it on and shoved it in my face. "My sister and brother Lou are true love." I paused for a moment, then took the phone. What Mila Gu showed me was her WeChat moments. Her moments are set to be visible for only 3 days, and now only 2 posts can be seen. One was from last night. She posted a picture of lightning and thunder with the caption, "We embrace each other in the storm." The other was posted half an hour ago. A 9-square grid featuring a Bichon puppy wearing a birthday crown, herself in a princess dress, and Reed Lou smiling beside her with cake all over his face. Caption, "A little trick, willing fish take the bait, happy birthday, ching ting, clear courtyard." Mila Gu's little trick, Reed Lou's chaos and panic, utterly romantic. I smiled sarcastically, looked up at Guzi, and enunciated each word, "Home wrecker." She stomped her foot in anger. "You're the home wrecker. Brother Lou loves my sister." She viciously snatched back her phone, tapped a few times, then handed it to me again. "Do you think having a child can tie Brother Lou down? You two were never from the same world to begin with." This time, it was Reed Lou's social media post. The most recent one was also half an hour ago. It's a group photo of the two of them with a little dog. Caption, "You scared me to death. No more mischief next time. Happy birthday, ching ting." Last night, he also posted on his moments without any pictures, just text, "Don't be afraid, I will protect you, from childhood to old age, from youth to white hair, until our souls vanish into the Milky Way." His social media posts weren't set to private. In the 6 months since Mila Gu returned to the country, he posted nearly 100 updates about her, all of which were hidden from me. I skimmed through his posts at lightning speed, so that night he didn't come to pick me up because he was taking Mila Gu out for late night snacks. Turns out his allergy to pet fur is selective, depending on who's involved. It turns out the roses I planted weren't cut by some passing brat, but were snipped by him to give to Mila Gu. I thought his increased appetite was due to more workouts, but it was actually because he was eating for 2. I was always worried about his stomach problems flaring up again, only to end up becoming a free live-in cook. As I finished scrolling through this month's social media feed, senior sister Yuan returned with clothes and ointment. She darted in front of me in an instant, blocking my way, and angrily pointed at Guzi. "It's you again. Are you a fly? Always buzzing around to defend shit." Meanwhile, Li Changyue and Xing Siyuan from the same department came over to help. I called the police. Although Guzi and the others were minors, they had impersonated nurses to enter the hospital, so a stern lecture was unavoidable. She didn't take the phone and even said with absolute certainty as the police led her away, "Once you see how much Brother Lou loves my sister, you'll give up for sure." I was left alone in the hospital room, numbly scrolling through the remaining unread posts on my social feed. On February 14th, Mila got drunk at a bar. She asked me why I wasn't spending Valentine's Day with her. I ran 2 red lights. I'd told her before, "Just turn around and you'll see me." On February 3rd, Mila came back. I thought I had moved on, but the moment I saw her, I realized how much space she still occupied in my heart. Now, though, I can only treat her as a little sister. On February 1st, she said she was coming back, but I'm already married. As I scrolled, I came across Reed Lou's social media post from the night before our wedding. A very important person from my past had Rh-negative blood, and so does she, so I thought I'd give it a try. This marriage was calculated from the very beginning. In the end, my tears fell into the wonton soup. I scooped up the wonton and put it in my mouth, only to realize it had gone cold and soggy. After a moment's hesitation, I flushed the cold wontons down the toilet and ordered a fresh batch. The new wontons arrived quickly, piping hot. A voice said to me, "Sage Su, hot wontons are so much better than cold ones." So I picked up my phone and changed the flight to tomorrow. After finishing the wontons, I wheeled myself to the department to hand over work with my colleagues. As I kept busy, the sky darkened. By 10 o'clock, all the work handover was completed. At this moment, only I, senior sister Yuan, Xing Siyuan, and Li Changyue remained in the department. The 3 of us have worked together for 3 years now, not just as colleagues, but as close friends. I pressed my lips together and told them I planned to go abroad tomorrow. The 3 of them exchanged glances, momentarily speechless. Seeing the atmosphere becoming heavy, Xing Siyuan stood up. "Let's take a few group photos." After taking more than a dozen shots, Xing Siyuan still couldn't pick one she was satisfied with. "If we're going to take photos, let's take the best ones. Let's go to a photo studio." Around midnight, the 3 of them took me back to the villa. Knowing I wasn't in good shape, they even came inside to help me pack the luggage I needed to take with me tomorrow. Not long after they left, Reed Lou returned. "Sage Su, Where have you been? Why are you running around instead of staying in the hospital when you're injured? You wouldn't think that as long as the injury doesn't heal, I can keep staying with you, would you? The living room was unlit, and Reed-Lou couldn't be bothered to turn on the lights. It wasn't until he got closer that he noticed not only had I put on makeup, but I was also wearing a green strapless dress. Reed-Lou stared at me intently, his eyes turning crimson with anger. Sage Sue, you'd better not have cheated on me. I calmly looked back on the past, said goodbye to my colleagues and took a few sets of photos. The anger on Reed-Lou's face faded as he raised an eyebrow to examine me. His eyes revealing strong interest. Your colleague has good taste, this dress suits you. I gave an absent-minded without looking up, my fingers scrolling through my phone. Reed-Lou was taken aback, thinking that saying goodbye to my colleagues had put me in a bad mood. Let's hang out more often in the future, so our bond won't fade. Don't be sad. Being a doctor is not only exhausting but also poorly paid and extremely busy. The hospital will run just fine without one less doctor. In the future, you can be like the other girls in our circle, enjoying afternoon tea and shopping. I'll take care of earning money, and you can focus on being beautiful. Isn't that great? As he spoke, his hand rested on my shoulder, his fingers caressing my skin. I stiffened for a moment, then pushed his hand away and wheeled my chair back half a meter. Then I turned around and headed toward the bathroom. I'm going to take a shower. Reed-Lou's tone rose. You're not mobile, let me help you. I turned my head and looked at him unhappily. Did you save me, Lagoo? A hint of unease flickered in Reed-Lou's eyes. His right pinky finger twitched slightly, a subconscious habit whenever he lied. The airbag deployed. Nothing too serious. By the way, were you scalded by the porridge? I glared at him. It's hot, so I'm angry. Until my anger subsides, you can sleep in the guest room. Early the next morning, Reed-Lou got up to make breakfast for me, a bowl of handmade beef noodles that looked exceptionally good. I had never eaten it before, but I had seen him make it for Lagoo. It was when Lagoo had just returned, and at that time, I thought they were just good friends. Seeing Reed-Lou personally making noodles, I casually asked him why he never made them for me before. He said, it's too much trouble. Back then, we had a good relationship, so I naturally replied, then next time you make noodles for Lagoo, make me a portion too. I'll have tomato and egg noodles, no scallions or cilantro, but Reed-Lou still waved his hands repeatedly. Forget it, using my time earning millions a month to make noodles for a little doctor like you with a salary of just a few thousand is a total waste. Lagoo is a wealthy heiress, don't compare yourself to her. That was the first time I cried because of Lagoo. Coming back to my senses, Reed-Lou was looking at me expectantly, waiting for me to taste it. I took out my phone to take a photo, then looked up at him. I don't eat scallions or cilantro. A hint of impatience flickered in Reed-Lou's eyes, and when he spoke again, his tone was much worse than before. Then what do you eat? Tomato and egg noodles. He turned and walked into the kitchen, but in the end, I still didn't get to taste the handmade noodles made by Reed-Lou, because I sent a photo of the beef noodles to Guzi. Less than 5 minutes after sending the message, Reed-Lou was called away by Lagoo's phone call with my luggage in tow. I went to eat the tomato and egg noodles at the orphanage's entrance. The orphanage had already relocated, but the taste of the tomato and egg noodles remained the same. After finishing the noodles, I took a car to the airport. The plane carved a beautiful arc across the sky. A month later, the cast on my right hand was removed, and new skin had grown over my knee. I got an internship as a teaching assistant at a research institute called Angel. Through an interview, I was at work when the orphanage director called. The elderly dean's voice trembled with excitement. Sage, your biological parents have come for you. You were abducted. The woman who abandoned you wasn't your real mother. Yet I felt no joy, only a dazed numbness. Moments later, 2 unfamiliar voices came through the phone. Sage, it's Mom, my poor daughter. You've suffered so much. Sage, I'm your father. Come back home, and let me make it up to you. Okay, the childhood fantasy had come true at this moment, but I was no longer a child. The day I returned to Haishur, the sky was hazy. My biological parents came to pick me up, accompanied by a blonde-haired boy. When he saw me, the boy suddenly rushed over and gave me a big hug, his enthusiasm exaggerated, like a golden retriever wagging its tail. Second sister, I'm your biological brother. My name is Guyu. I frowned slightly. Guyu, not Gu as an ancient, but Gu as in, to take care of. The boy answered me loudly. I abruptly stopped in my tracks and looked at this middle-aged couple. You lied to me. I narrowed my eyes to scrutinize the pair, surprised to realize I had seen these 2 faces not long ago in Reed-Lou's social media post celebrating Lagoo's birthday. You are Lagoo's parents. The young man beside them was still out of the loop, looking utterly confused. Mom, Dad, Why are you lying, second sister? How do you know our eldest sister? I said calmly. Isn't it normal for the first wife to know the mistress? Mother Goo's face darkened for a moment. Father Goo gave his wife a look while explaining to me. He said they lied to avoid misunderstanding and promised to better manage Mila Goo in the future. Mother Goo chimed in. Let's go home first. We'll talk about it later. I refused and asked them for the hair before the test results come out. I won't believe a single word they say. I checked into a hotel in the evening. I had dinner at the restaurant on the first floor of the hotel. Reed Lou was like a piece of sticky gum I couldn't shake off. Appearing in front of me again, Sage Sue, why are you running around? When you're pregnant, his voice was too loud, drawing the attention of everyone dining nearby. I was about to say I wasn't pregnant, but then I suddenly remembered what happened at the airport this afternoon. There was no way Reed Lou didn't know about the Goo parents looking for me. Given his usual behavior, he should have gone to pick them up, but he just didn't go. Thinking of this, I picked up the orange juice and splashed it on Reed Lou's face. Since you're back and in good health, it's time to settle old scores. Sage Sue, what the hell is wrong with you? The mistress's relatives made such a scene at the hospital. Who wouldn't go crazy? As soon as I finished speaking, many people around turned to look at Reed Lou with disdain in their eyes. The more meddlesome ones even took out their phones to record videos. Reed Lou, always so proud, had never faced so many scornful gazes before. His face turned green with humiliation. Why are you picking on a bunch of kids? I never realized you were so petty and full of nonsense before. If it weren't for your pregnancy, I'd divorce you right now, I sneered, refusing to back down even under Reed Lou's disgusted and threatening glare. 16 or 17-year-olds disguised as nurses and barged into my hospital room while I was sick, forcing me to make way for true love. The police report spells it out clearly. Is that what you call being petty? A few murmurs rose from the crowd. This is called eliminating harm for the people. This is no child, but a hoodlum. Reed Lou left behind an unreasonable remark and then fled in panic. The video shot by a passerby was reposted and spread by marketing accounts, surprisingly gaining quite some traction. Many netizens asked in the comments section who the other woman was. To satisfy everyone's curiosity, I paired the post with the most popular emotional music of the moment, Gentle Version, and shared screenshots of their social media moments on a certain platform. In less than a day, the video received over 1 million likes. Comments section, what kind of fairy tale love is this? So romantic, so dreamy. I pinned a comment in the section, the mistress you all asked about. Marketing accounts reposted the video as memes. Netizens who learned the truth instantly exploded with outrage, discussing the disgust level of shipping a couple only to find out it's a scumbag and his mistress. I won't say who chipped their tooth. These days, even shipping couples requires caution. 2 days passed, and the test results came out. Mila Goo's parents are indeed my biological parents as well. In the villa, dressed in a white gown, Mila Goo, as delicate as a jasmine flower, lay in Mrs. Goo's arms wiping away her tears. For the university's anniversary celebration, she had meticulously prepared a 2-month piano solo performance, only to have it cancelled by the school authorities on the grounds of her poor personal conduct. Mr. Goo looked at me, then at the 2 burly men in sunglasses flanking me, his brows furrowing into a deep frown. Why did you bring 2 bodyguards? I blinked and retorted to Mr. Goo, why do you think they're called bodyguards? Could someone who raised a daughter like Mila Goo really be model parents? Besides, Mila Goo's parents becoming my parents, even if it's true, it still feels eerie. Of course, I need to be extra cautious. Mother Goo looked up at me, a trace of disdain flickering in her eyes. We're your biological parents. Would we ever harm you? I shook my head vigorously, like a rattledrum. No, no, no. Just a few days ago you were merely the parents of that homewrecker, having nothing to do with me at all. You've shared over 20 years of affection with that homewrecker, but there's no such bond between us. Hearing me repeatedly call her a homewrecker, the couple's faces turned alternately pale and purple with rage. Mila Goo remained silent, only lowering her head to sob incessantly. The boy looked at me, then at Mila Goo, his face full of irritation. Cry, cry, cry. Is that all you know how to do? I told you before not to cling to Reed Lou. I don't get why you're so desperate to be the other woman, and you still want to perform a piano piece at my school. Are you trying to ruin me? If people find out I have a sister who's the other woman, who would still hang out with me? Mother Goo glared at her son, but ultimately couldn't bring herself to scold him. Instead, she shot a glance at me, her daughter who had just returned, with an air of profound seriousness. We're all family here. Besides, there's an order to these things. Your sister knew Reed Lou first, If we're talking about stealing, it's you who stole your sister's man. Mila didn't say anything, so don't be so stubborn. Your sister was supposed to perform a piano piece at her alma mater, High University's anniversary celebration, attended by so many wealthy and famous people. It was a perfect chance to shine, and you ruined it. Delete the video online. For my sake, your sister won't hold it against you this time. I looked coldly at Mother Goo. What you're saying really takes shamelessness to new heights, spinning in circles without a shred of decency. The noblewoman's face flushed red as she raised her finger to point at my nose. Ready to unleash a torrent of abuse, I stared straight at Goo's mother, prepared to counterattack at any moment. Enough, Goo's father sternly rebuked her. He turned to look at me, putting on a fatherly demeanor. Mila was indeed in the wrong this time. As compensation, her allowance for the next year will all go to you. A whole year's allowance. I was so angry I almost laughed, unable to hide my sarcasm as I said, President Goo, what a bold statement. A whole year's allowance. What do you want then? Give me Mila Goo's shares, and I'll delete the video. Perhaps because the shares under Mila Goo's name weren't significant, Father Goo hesitated for a moment before agreeing. Mila Goo never imagined she would suffer such great injustice and end up having to surrender her shares to the very person who caused it all. She looked up at me, breaking down as she said, do I have to die to atone before you'll let me go? With that, she dashed out like the wind. Mrs. Goo anxiously chased after her, but I couldn't catch up, and soon it was back in my sight again. She looked at me with disgust. Are you satisfied now? I shook my head innocently. The shares haven't been secured yet. What's there to be satisfied about? Mother Goo collapsed onto the sofa, panting heavily. I turned to look at Father Goo. Several entertainment accounts are waiting for my authorization. Since I can't be a doctor anymore, it's not bad to become an internet celebrity while the topic is hot, don't you think? Less than 2 hours after Mila Goo left, her shares were officially transferred to my name. I happily ate my fruit while directing the bodyguards to move the luggage to the largest room on the second floor. One bodyguard carried things in, while another threw the existing items out. Just as they were nearly finished, Goo's mother, who had been searching fruitlessly, returned. She rushed over in a fury, trembling as she pointed at the pile of clothes and jewelry on the floor, utterly enraged. That's Mila's room. How dare you throw Mila's things out? Since you've already seized the shares, isn't taking the room just a matter of convenience? But on the surface, I still didn't tear off all pretenses, because the Goo family was full of unknowns for me, and the fact that the Goo parents were in such a hurry and so cautious to trick me into returning to the country clearly indicated impure motives rather than keeping an unpredictable time bomb. It's better to take this opportunity to tackle each challenge as it comes. With slightly reddened eyes, I looked at Mother Goo. She is your daughter, but am I not? The career I've worked hard for over a decade was effortlessly destroyed by her, and my family was ruined by her too. No matter how wrong she feels, can it compare to mine? Mother Goo looked at me with a complicated expression, guilty, embarrassed, and annoyed, but not a trace of remorse or heartache, not even a little. Tears welled up uncontrollably again. I tugged at the corner of my mouth self-mockingly. Abandoned at the orphanage gate as a child, and now abandoned on the highway by my husband after marriage. Sage Sue, isn't this enough? Do you want to be abandoned again? Mother Goo opened her mouth. Mila has been pampered since childhood. This room is what she's used to. I interrupted her. Since you won't even give me a room to stay in, I might as well go abroad. Hearing this, Mrs. Goo swallowed all her unwillingness. Mila Goo was brought back by Reed Lou, but her timing was unfortunate. Mother Goo was wearing an apron and personally cooking my favorite spicy dishes. Father Goo was gently serving me soup, and even the usually impatient Goo was meticulously picking out fish bones and peeling shrimp for me. When Mila Goo returned, Mother Goo merely gave her a brief glance before quickly turning back to the kitchen. Before long, the pungent aroma of spicy food wafted from the kitchen. Mila Goo coughed repeatedly from the spiciness, looking at us in confusion as if she couldn't understand why. In just 2 short days, I seemed to have completely replaced her. Reed Lou patted the disheartened girl beside him sympathetically and spoke with displeasure. Mila hasn't been able to eat these past 2 days and even had thoughts of suicide. Now that she's finally back, she's faced with a table of unbearably spicy dishes she can't eat. Sage Sue, do you really have to be so selfish and domineering? As I watched his angry expression, I no longer felt even a trace of sadness in my heart. On the contrary, I found it quite appetizing. Mila Goo quickly realized that her room had been taken over by me, and her belongings were haphazardly stuffed into the storage room. She completely broke down, holding a pair of scissors to her neck, sobbing uncontrollably. Dad, Mom, do you no longer want your daughter? Is there even a place for me in this family anymore, Mrs. Gu finally dropped her indifferent demeanor and became extremely tense. I saw Mr. Gu slightly furrow his brows and subtly pat her arm. He took out an iron key and tossed it in front of Mila Gu, his tone cold and stern. Your sister has finally come home, you should move out. After speaking, he turned his face away, clearly unwilling to say more to Mila Gu, and instead began serving me food. Mila Gu looked at the keys on the corner of the table with a hint of confusion on her face. Reed Lu seized the opportunity to snatch the scissors from Mila Gu's hand. He picked up the keys and pulled Mila Gu away. Before leaving, he didn't forget to mock me. Those from orphanages sure have plenty of tricks up their sleeves. Father Gu slammed his chopsticks on the table, angrily scolding Reed Lu for not knowing what's important. Mother Gu softly comforted me, putting on the perfect act of a loving mother. Witnessing their sudden change in attitude, Gu opened her mouth in confusion. Then a look of sudden understanding flashed across his face. In less than 10 seconds, their figures disappeared around the corner, as if this well-acted show of winning people over had come to an end. As the one being courted, I leisurely sipped my soup. By the time the porcelain white bottom of the bowl was revealed, Reed Lu and Mila Gu had returned before me. Behind them are my 2 bodyguards. Reed Lu looked impatient. Sage Su, what do you mean by this? The response was a stack of white papers slapped across his face. I turned to Mila Gu and said leisurely, the things the Gu family elder gave me, aren't they burning your hands to hold on to? The white paper fluttered to the ground, and in the end, Gu couldn't resist his curiosity and picked it up. The young man quickly scanned the words on the paper. When he looked up again, his eyes were filled with disbelief and indignation. Mila Gu is actually the daughter of our former housekeeper. Mom and Dad, have you lost your minds? Her biological mother abandoned my real sister in an orphanage, and you've been doting on this imposter for over 20 years without a word. Now you're even protecting her at every turn, secretly giving her the house Grandpa left for my sister. No wonder you've been acting so differently these past few days. It's a guilty conscience. Just a guilty conscience. I looked at the 2 children raised by the Gu family parents. One is a clueless green tea white lotus, the other a straightforward naive sweetheart. The key Mr. Gu threw to Mila Gu seemed utterly ordinary at first glance. In reality, it was the key to a villa in Haishi's famous retro-style villa district. This was originally meant to be a meeting gift from the Gu family patriarch to me through Mr. Gu. Mr. Gu deceived both sides. I told Grandpa Gu that I disliked the iron key, thinking the Gu family wanted to drive me out to live in a shabby house. So I refused. In front of me, they staged another act of driving Mila Gu out to live elsewhere. This way, they could make Grandpa Gu dislike me, dispel his idea of changing Mila Gu's surname, and preserve her status as the wealthy heiress. At the same time, it made me feel favored, thereby gaining my trust. Unfortunately, I came prepared as a member of the Gu family. As early as the day Mila Gu left, I had already added the old man's WeChat through Guyu. The truth was exposed. Mr. Gu slumped onto the sofa and began recounting a past incident. At the age of 18, he was in a car accident and urgently needed a blood transfusion, but he had the rare Rh-negative blood type. In the critical moment, it was Mila Gu's biological mother who appeared and saved him. Guyu asked with a puzzled expression, Dad, you made your lifesaver work as your family's nanny. The air froze for a moment. Father Gu explained that at the time, Grandpa and Grandma Gu wanted to repay her, so they sponsored her college education. It was she who felt undeserving and voluntarily came to the Gu family to work. She doesn't sound like a bad person. Then how could she do something as disgusting as swapping children? I turned to look at Guyu, who had spoken. The spokesperson of humanity. Father Gu looked at Mila Gu, his face momentarily dazed. He said, human hearts are fickle. In the end, Father Gu dismissed Mila Gu with the phrase, merits offset faults. The key given by Old Master Gu has also returned to my hands. Late at night, the image of Father Gu's dazed expression as he looked at Mila Gu surfaced in my mind. Mila Gu's appearance must largely resemble her mother's, thus, Father Gu must have discovered the child swap very early on. You didn't come to me back then, but now you're bringing me back. Is it for the 10% stake in Lu Corporation? Or, I clutched my waist and turned on my phone to send a message to the bodyguard. The bodyguard replied instantly, even in the dead of night. The bodyguard didn't slack off at all. I opened the bodyguard company's mini program and quietly left 2 positive reviews. After Mila Gu left, I immediately sold all her belongings without hesitation. Mr. and Mrs. Gu didn't say anything. Instead, they treated me better and better. As if trying to make up for the past 20+ years, I watched their full of holes performance and only felt disgusted. Poor acting on stage is also a torment for the audience. After several days, seeing that I remained as indifferent as ever, The Gu parents finally gave up, but the facts proved that I had overthought it. Father Gu secretly held a homecoming banquet for me. He lied to me, saying it was a relative's birthday party. Only when I arrived did I realize it was a celebration for my return. Father Gu even invited a crowd of reporters, claiming it was to let the world know the joyous news of the Gu family's lost heiress being found. Shares, jewelry, houses. The Gu family parents exaggeratedly displayed their affection for me in front of the camera. Reed Lu didn't attend the banquet but sent someone to ostentatiously deliver a pink diamond necklace the size of a pigeon's egg to me. The banquet video posted online attracted significant attention. They marveled at the Gu family's doting affection for me. They debated whether I was born lucky, having married into wealth even before reuniting with my biological parents from a prominent family. As a result, many labels were attached to me. The Gu family's long-lost treasure, finally recovered, the beloved daughter cherished by her wealthy parents, born with the luck of a golden carp. As I scrolled through several viral banquet videos with millions of likes online, I clearly realized they're desperate. In less than a week, a video of Mrs. Gu fainting at a charity event topped the trending charts. I frowned as I watched the video of the event, realizing it was aimed at me. Many netizens recognized her as the mother of the lucky fish heiress. Before long, news spread that Mrs. Gu needed a liver transplant since the liver can regenerate. Netizens casually suggested that Mrs. Gu's children should get tested for a match at the banquet. Being the most favored, I was naturally the first to be singled out. Moreover, even Gu's mother's nephews and nieces voluntarily came to the hospital for matching. As the biological daughter, how could I refuse? The result was as I expected, only I was a match. In the hospital room, Mother Gu lay on the bed with pale lips. In the corner of the eye, a phone stood on the small table. Father Gu begged me to save Mother Gu's life. Meanwhile, Mother Gu weakly shook her head, saying she was sorry and couldn't let me harm my health for her sake again. The sound of a chair being dragged interrupted their conversation. I sat down with my legs crossed. They didn't expect this reaction from me and all turned to look at me. Facing their gazes, I said without hesitation, "I won't donate." Father Gu was stunned, then slapped his own head in frustration. "Right, I forgot in my panic that you're pregnant. You've already tested me by placing musk in my room. Stop pretending to be innocent now. I'm not pregnant, but I won't donate." Gu slammed the table and stood up, pointing at me. "It's just a liver, not a kidney. How can you be so heartless? She's our own mother." I couldn't stand his stupidity any longer and slapped him across the face. "What's her blood type? What's mine? Should I donate myself to be stir-fried for her?" Gu was completely stunned, murmuring, "Didn't you say we were a match? What's your blood type?" I hinted meaningfully. "Same as your sisters, panda blood." "You have panda blood, but mom is type A." He looked blankly at his parents, unsure what kind of show this was. I stood up and walked to the door, not at all surprised to see a crowd of reporters. "Let's go. Let's check upstairs." Gu hurriedly followed along. When the door was opened, Reed Lu was feeding Mila Gu some fruit. After half a month apart, Mila Gu had lost a significant amount of weight and was already critically ill. Reed Lu stood up with a cold expression and pushed me away. "Sage Su, why did you bring so many reporters?" A pair of hands steadied me from behind. It was Gu. He threw down the card he had just picked up from the bedside, pressed his lips together, and charged forward, grappling with Reed Lu. "Who the hell are you pushing? You deceived my sister's feelings and now you want to scam her for a liver too. How shameless can you two be?" The reporter picked up the card, which bore the name Mila Gu. The one who needed a liver was Mila Gu. Half an hour later, the young man walked up to me, his face bruised and swollen. "Sis, I wasn't lying to you with mom and dad." For some reason, I felt my nose tingling. I turned around. "They must think you're too dumb and would mess things up." "Sis, why are you leaving? Wait for me. Aren't you even a little touched?" Emotions are incredibly complex things. My biological parents chose to place their affection on a daughter with no blood relation, yet my younger brother abandoned the over a decade-long sibling bond he shared with Mila Gu, firmly choosing me instead. The internet has now descended into complete chaos. The real heiress faked a pregnancy to deceive others. The Gu parents set up a scheme to secure a liver for the fake heiress. The fake heiress was also the mistress who interfered in the real heiress's marriage. Netizens couldn't decide who to criticize first. Mila Gu simply responded with, "The innocent need no defense. Let's clear things up in dreams. I've released the surveillance footage of Gu Zi causing trouble at the hospital. The fake pregnancy had its reasons, but Mila Gu being the other woman is indisputable. Now, netizens know exactly who to criticize." I moved out of the Gu family villa thinking that in the coming days, Mr. and Mrs. Gu, along with Reed Lu, would definitely try every means to appear in front of me and annoy me. I simply decided to go on a trip. "Am I that close to you?" Why are you following me, sis? I'm still useful. I can carry your luggage, please. Take me with you to play. After traveling outside for half a month, I received a call from the police station. It was Reed Lu who reported me missing. Calculating the time, it was about time to go back. Seeing Reed Lu again, his eyes were weary, his face covered in stubble. Sage, that was a human life. Isn't a doctor's duty to save people? Slap. I slapped him. Who was it that made me unable to practice medicine anymore? Don't you have any idea? Reed Lu knelt before me. What will it take for you to save her? Divorce, and split the assets equally. Reed Lu was in a hurry. Before nightfall, the freshly issued divorce certificate was already in hand in the hospital. Mila Gu was already terminally ill. Do you think this is karma? Tears streamed down her face as she begged me to save her. I turned to leave, but Reed Lu blocked my way. Sage Su, are you trying to go back on your word? I laughed boldly. Is breaking a promise illegal? If it is, go ahead and call the police. 4 bodyguards pushed Reed Lu aside and escorted me out. Halfway through, I turned back. A glimmer of hope flickered in Reed Lu's eyes. I didn't fulfill his wish, but I did point him in the right direction. Gu Jinglong can save her. Gu Jinglong is the name of Gu's father. Reed Lu generously offered Gu's father 15% of the Lu Corporation's shares in exchange for a liver donation. After Mila Gu's successful surgery, Reed Lu immediately knelt down to propose. He said that after facing life and death, he finally realized who the most important person was. I removed Reed Lu's parents from the blacklist. I casually created a group chat with the three of us and told them about Reed Lu's grand gesture of buying a liver at a high price. Now, Lu's parents, who had been traveling around the world, couldn't sit still anymore. They flew back to the country overnight, but the matter was already settled. Not only could they not change it, but they also had to put in the effort to organize their son's engagement banquet. At the engagement banquet, Gu's parents, who were supposed to speak on stage as the bride's parents, suddenly didn't show up. The happy photo of the couple on the big screen suddenly changed to surveillance footage of Mila Gu deliberately driving into me. The engagement banquet ended with the police taking Mila Gu away. The already sparse guests left, murmuring among themselves. I sat at the very back, slowly removing my sunglasses and mask. Of course, I was the one who installed the surveillance. The absence of Gu's parents was also because I revealed the secret to Gu's mother that Mila Gu is the illegitimate daughter of Gu's father. He said people's hearts are fickle, but it was Gu's father who changed first. He abandoned his savior and chose Gu's mother, who was from a family of equal social status. The woman, deceived by a scumbag, in a fit of anger, secretly swapped 2 children. Reed Lu wasn't wrong about one thing. He said those from orphanages have plenty of tricks up their sleeves. As an orphanage kid who fought her way through grad school, a PhD, and into a top-tier hospital, how could I not have some tricks of my own? From the very beginning, I was determined to make those who hurt me pay the price. Going abroad to recuperate was also a delaying tactic, but who knew things would change midway, and I returned home earlier than planned. Looking at it now, it might not be a bad thing after all. Reed Lu saw me. He walked toward me with a complicated expression on his face, but I got ahead of him, got in the car, and left. I sold the shares in my hand to Ji Xiong, Reed Lu's cousin. After half a year, I returned to the Angel Research Institute. This time, I'm not an intern assistant, but a partner. Gu often sends me messages. He said not long after I left, the Lu family's business changed hands. The new CEO is Ji Xiong, the daughter of Reed Lu's aunt. Reed Lu, holding on to a small portion of shares, stayed in the Lu family's business. To prove himself, he traded business secrets for projects. Ji Xiong swiftly reported the matter to the police. Upon discovery, in the end, Reed Lu was imprisoned for economic crimes, and all his personal assets were awarded to the company to compensate for its losses. At the age of 30, my name appeared for the first time in a drug registration document at the very end. But I am not discouraged, for in my heart dwells the bright moon sage, journeying 1,000 miles to carefree realms.